Well, today, I thought I'd talk about how to deal with the chaos in the world that we live. I don't know about you, but if you're listening to anything out there, there is more chaos going on than you can ever imagine. So I want to talk about how do we live with the chaos and how do we remain aware? How do we remain in control? So let's look at the state of the world today. Number one, there's the pandemic that's been going all over the world. And we've had all of the things that are associated with the fear of getting ill, the recovery. We've got the psychological impact of that, the feeling of isolation. We've got the division that's come because of people believing in one side or the other is the way to go. Secondly, we've got inflation now as high as it's been since maybe 1980. That's the last time I remember it being this high. And so we've got the idea of things are going up and maybe our income isn't going up, and how do we deal with that? Then we've got this war going on with Ukraine and Russia, which is impacting the world because it's impacting the oil supply, impacting the food supply of the world, which is having an impact on us. We've got supply chain issues as a result of the pandemic, which means there are shortages of things in the world, shortages of what people want. There was a baby shortage, baby formula shortage, there was paper shortage. There's all these things going on. Also, there is greater feelings of isolation, depression, and anxiety than ever before. Suicide rates are going sky high, murder rates are going up, and there's greater polarization and division than ever before. From a conservative versus a liberal, from one country versus another country, from being male, female, gay, straight, transgender, straight, gay, all of this type of religions, various religions. There's never been a greater polarization that I'm aware of or division that I'm seeing in the planet today. So you add all these 6 things up together and whoa, you are in the storm. You're in a hurricane called chaos. And so this is what I've come to understand. With everything that is happening, there is no better time than now to develop it's a time to simplify attitude. That's right, a time to simplify attitude. Let's take the complexity out of what we're seeing. Let's get this chaos so that it becomes something we can see and becomes something that is manageable for us, if at all possible. So how do we do that? Well, first thing you got to do is you got to accept what is. You got to accept that COVID is there. You've got to accept that there are supply chain issues. You've got to accept that there's division and isolation, anxiety, depression. You've got to accept that there's inflation. You've got to accept all of these things. Because unless you accept it, you're in denial. When you're in denial, you can't deal with things. But if you accept what is, now you can move to the second step. And you could take whatever issue, let's take the COVID issue, ask this question: is there anything I can do about it? Good question. What can you do about it? What do you believe you can do about it? What can you do about inflation? How can you manage with inflation? So you're going to ask the question, is there anything I can do about it? If the answer is no, you let it go. Because if you can't do anything about it, it's not worth giving any time or attention to. You let it go. It doesn't exist for you. If the answer is yes, then we've got to ask, what can I do that's in alignment with my highest values? And that's real important. So if we take the idea of COVID, one of my 3 highest values is personal health and well-being. So when COVID started, I became healthier. I ate healthier. I did supplementation, which I believe in, that would bring me health. And then when I did get COVID, I did everything that I knew to do, that I had researched and read about, and got through it. In alignment with my highest values, health and well-being, I took action to become healthy. I didn't take action to be fearful. That's really the key thing here. When you're looking at something, you're asking, is this something I can change, that I can impact, and is it in alignment with my highest values? Underneath my highest values is that everything I do is for a more expansive experience of life. So that's how I look at it. You see, if something is if it's yes, you can do something and it's in your top values, you act now. You do what you can using the knowledge and resources that you currently have until you get new knowledge and new resources, and then you adjust what you can do. But if it's something that's in your top values and you can change, you act now. On the other end of the spectrum, if it's something you can change but it's not a top value, put it in the queue to be looked at later. Take it out of your mind. If it's not a top value, someone's going to have to be kicking you in the butt to do it. Because guess what? When we don't value something at its highest level, as far as we're concerned, we procrastinate. Simple as that. So there are people who during COVID actually gained weight, became less healthy. Why? It's pretty simple. Health and well-being weren't a high value to them to begin with. Maybe it's a value now. I don't know. I don't know that there's right or wrong. I just know that certain values serve me and they're changing in priority. I noticed I re-looked at my values this week, and health and well-being was on my list, my number 4 value. After I redid the analysis of my values, health and well-being moved up to number 3. And personal interconnection moved down to number 4. Why? Well, I'm 71. So for me to do what I love most, the values that are above, my number 1 value is to become more aware. My number 2 value is to teach. In order to do that, I have to be healthy. If I'm healthy and I can do the other 2, then I put my juice, my energy into interpersonal relationships. Does that make sense? So let's look at these things from where the world is right now. So when we look at the idea of the pandemic, what can you do about it that's relative to you? Is there anything you can do? Yes or no? If there's something you can do, does it support your highest values? If so, how can you act on it now? You're simplifying how you look at the pandemic. With inflation, you ask a couple questions here. Things are going up. Okay, what am I buying that's not essential? Oh, I'm simplifying what I'm feeling my needs are. Can I bring in more revenue? Is there a way for me to increase my revenue to deal with the higher costs of things? And so you find a way to balance the revenue coming in and the expenses going out. And you really ask the question, is this what I'm buying serving me, my development, and my highest values? With respect to the war, can I do anything about the Ukraine-Russian war? The answer is no. The only power I have with respect to war is who I vote for when election time comes. And right now, it's not an election time, so there's nothing I can do. Supply chain issues, I have no impact on the supply chain issues. So I find a way to deal with it. I know I have one of my vices. So in health and well-being, I do have a vice. And one of the things that I love, that's been one of my favorite things since childhood, is Verner's ginger ale. I love Verner's ginger ale. And I know it's a soda. I know there's sugar in it. I know that, so know that I know, but I don't overdo it. I like a glass of Verner's once a day. About an 8-ounce glass really suits me fine. Well, guess what? Can't find Verner's anywhere. supply chain issue. Found that out by talking to the people at Kroger's who carry it. So, what do? I don't worry about it. I move on. Feelings of isolation, depression, and anxiety. COVID caused us to really isolate. And when we isolate, depression and anxiety come in. And what is depression and anxiety? They are the result of unrealistic expectations we've set for ourselves or set others. So what can I do about this? Well, feelings of isolation, here's what I'm doing is I'm making a conscious effort to invite people to my home and be invited out and doing things with other people. From the standpoint of depression and anxiety, I'm examining what are the expectations that I'm living up to. What expectations have I set for myself? Are they realistic? Do I need to adjust them? What expectations am I buying in from others? Are they realistic? Do I need to adjust them? Are they really serving my highest values? Are my expectations in alignment with my highest values? If they're not, then I have to really redo my expectations. Greater polarization and division. Can I do something about it? Yes, I can. What can I do about it? I can be inclusive. I don't take sides. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm an individual. I'm an independent. What about on the gay, straight side? Here's how I look at it. I was born straight. My son was born gay. Okay? What do I need to do about it? Nothing. That's who he is. This is who I am. I accept him. He accepts me. That's what you call love. Doesn't impact me at all. From the standpoint of United States versus other countries, I treat every human being on the planet the same. In our Agape gatherings, I deal with people all over the world, and you know what? We're all the same. We're all seeking to become more aware. We're seeking to find meaning in our lives. We're seeking to express our gifts. So this is how I look at it. I don't see people as gay, transgender, heterosexual, and that. That's not who they are. I see them as individualized expressions of life, just like me, and I accept them as such. You see, when you take simple actions like the ones I'm talking about here, and there's so many more, but I don't really need to go into them. I think I've given you an idea. How can you look at something, know you can take an action? If it's a high value, what actions can you take? You see, when you take these actions, they will satisfy your rational mind. But here, my friends, the real work begins in your subconscious mind. You've got to reprogram your subconscious mind. So I want to offer you a suggestion, a daily action plan for dealing with chaos. Isn't that great? A daily action plan for dealing with chaos. And here it goes. Number one thing you do every day, meditate. When you meditate, you come out of the chaos. You release all thoughts about all things. You come out of the chaos. You actually reboot yourself. It's a spiritual, mental, and emotional reboot. The second thing you do is you create a mental image in your subconscious mind about what you want. Every day you create a mental image in your subconscious mind about what you want. You can do that with affirmations, with prayer, with visualization. You might even do it with music. But you have to start the day by creating the mental image you want, because otherwise someone else is going to plant a mental image in your mind, and it's not going to be what's going to serve you. After you plant that image during the day, focus on what you can do that matters most to you. Prioritized. What can I do? What matters most to me? And I'm going to tell you, something that you should not be doing is worry, because it doesn't serve anything. Worry will take you down the rabbit hole of depression, of anxiety. It's a bottomless pit that's dark. Worry actually is a prayer, and it will be answered. Simplify your life by eliminating extraneous responsibilities. We think we're responsible for so much more than we're responsible for. Simplify your life. Give yourself the freedom of not having to deal with things that are beyond your control. And last but not least, every day, many times a day, be grateful for who you are, what you have. Be grateful that you're alive. And realize that the chaos is simply contrast. And the purpose of contrast is to make you, allow you to become more aware of the truth of who you are, an infinite expression of love. So bless the chaos, because it's there for your growth, for my growth. And I'm grateful that we're on this path together.